Alrighty. So I guess this is round two.
Perfect.
Alrighty. So, just to start, could you maybe introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Kristin McMahon. I'm the new president of the Robert H. Jackson Center, and I am excited to be here. It's been just about 6 months.
Okay, and so how's your first few months? How have they gone? Tell me a little bit about that.
It's been a very busy first few months. I definitely feel as if I've gotten to see kind of a microcosm of everything that the Jackson Center does. So we broke ground on the construction of our center on my third day here. I got to help put together an exhibit that one of our interns did. Actually, I want to start that answer over. So it's been a very exciting first 6 months, and I really feel as if I've gotten to see a little bit of everything that the Jackson Center does. So we broke ground on the construction on day 3. One of our interns this summer put together an exciting exhibit about Stan Lundeen, one of our board members that we're honoring. I've gotten to see a multitude of the programming and the continuing legal education seminars that we do. So it's really been a great introduction.
So could you maybe speak a little bit about the exhibitions here and about the construction?
Sure, yeah. So we received a $1.5 million grant from the state of New York as part of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, and that is enabling us to make some improvements to the center to make the building more accessible and more comfortable as we go through additional phases of construction. The plan is to expand the classroom space, the archive space, and enable us to offer more to the area students, to local colleges, distant colleges as well. Now, a lot of what I just described will be completed in later phases, but we needed to do this initial phase with the climate control and the elevator in order to enable those additional phases to happen. And then from a program and exhibit perspective, as I said, we have, actually I guess I don't want to say as I said, just in case you didn't use that. We currently have an exhibit honoring Stan Lundeen, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York State and one of our Jackson Center board members. That was put together by one of our summer interns, Ashley Gray, and debuted in September. Next year, we're gearing up for the start of the 75th anniversary of Nuremberg and the London Agreement. As I'm sure most of you know, Robert H. Jackson was the chief U.S. prosecutor for the International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg. And so obviously that's a big part of the work that we do here is informed by the work he did. And so we will kick off some anniversary celebrations next year, and that's about a 15-month cycle. So we'll complete the Nuremberg cycle in 2021, which also happens to be the 20th anniversary of the Jackson Center.
It's perfect timing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in your first 6 months here, what has been one of your biggest achievements since you've been serving as president?
So I think one of my biggest achievements was seeing through the program that had actually been initiated before I arrived that brought in Bob Woodward as our featured speaker this summer. And that certainly was an amazing opportunity for the Jackson Center. We had more than 500 people in the Reg Linné Center for the Arts to hear Bob Woodward speak about Watergate and its legacy and how it still colors and impacts our interpretation of politics and political news today.
Okay. And that was filmed by Ed, filmed that, right?
Actually, no, Ed had other commitments for that one, I believe. And so I think it was John who filmed that.
But that is on film?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So here's just one. So after speaking to Greg, I feel like I got a really in-depth understanding of the history of this place and what it means to a lot of people, what it means in Jackson's memory, what it means for this Jamestown area as a whole. So given the storied history of the center, how do you think that you serving as president is going to contribute to furthering that legacy of the Jackson Center and Jackson's legacy?
So I want to make sure that the Jackson Center remains a local landmark, a local place of learning, but I also want to make sure that our message and the work that we do here gets out beyond Jamestown. So I am certainly looking into how do we expand our message digitally, in person, to other parts of the country and also other parts of the world. So we're actively exploring some programming opportunities in Washington, D.C. for next year, also taking a look at some in New York City. And then in August of next year, the International Humanitarian Law Roundtable will be in London to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the London Agreement, which is the agreement that enabled the Nuremberg trials to happen.
Okay. So it looks like there's a lot on the horizon. So it looks like there has to be like a lot of strategies, like leaning, I guess, in like the development direction, to kind of further the center's goals and aspirations and whatnot. So can you maybe speak a little bit, like I guess how you and Marion have been like working together with like the development strategy as far as like getting the center to those new heights?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the first tasks that I had coming in was to start the creation of a development plan. And so Marion and I have been working along with the development committee on the board to structure how we move forward from here. So what are the various activities that we can do to enable us to raise money? Obviously, taking a look at our fabulous supporters for the center and how do we increase that number, and making sure that we're putting on the types of programming and exhibits and doing things here that will attract people to the center, because Justice Jackson's message and his legacy and the guideposts that he provided to us are still things that the world is craving to hear today. We're still grappling with a lot of the same challenges and the same questions that he was grappling with 60, 70 years ago. And so there's a great framework in what he has written and what he has spoken. And I think that would help inform how politicians are moving forward today, some of the other social justice projects that are going on in the world, and we have the benefit of his wise words.
Okay. And I still just ask, like, as a president of the center, what is something on your personal list, or I guess like a personal mission of yours that you would like to see like happen with the center moving forward?
So for me, I think one of the most critical things for the center is to make sure that its message and the work that we do is expanding as broadly as possible and is touching as many lives as possible. I really want to be able to answer the question of how the world is different because the Jackson Center exists. So I want everyone to have an understanding of where the Jackson Center can play a role, how it can foster the conversations that need to happen, make sure our programming is forward-looking and not just backwards-looking, and help us help the world move forward with a lot of these questions.
That was great. Do you have like any other things you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to say about yourself? Just, I just like to give people a chance. Like, you feel like there's anything I missed? You think there's something that I should have asked?
I mean, I'll just say a few things, and then if you think there's anything of value in there, feel free.
It always is. There's always something that I missed.
So since my background is as a lawyer, I have been familiar with Justice Jackson's writing since I was a law student 20 or so years ago. Seems incredible to say sometimes. And so I had a love of the way he uses words and how he crafts messages and how he is always so cognizant of the audience to which he is speaking. So whether it was, as I'm learning now, his high school graduation speech or the speeches he started giving at the age of 14 to various civic organizations locally, across the state and nationally as well. Obviously to his writings on the court, there are such clear messages in each one of those speeches or opinions or decisions that really show how much he loved words and how important it was to make sure that the communication was as clear as possible. And that's something I always strive for. I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job of it as I'm talking right now, but definitely something that I see as a goal. And then obviously all of the work that we do here could not be accomplished without the amazing Jackson Center staff, the docents and other volunteers, all of our summer interns, and everybody who comes to attend our programs or see our exhibits. You know, every visitor to the Jackson Center is valuable. We learn so much from them. So it's also a great two-way street, that it's not just us providing education and information out there in the world, but people sharing their stories with us as well. It's one of my favorite parts of this job is I've heard stories from veterans. I've heard stories from people who have been at Nuremberg or knew people who were at Nuremberg. I've gone back through our extensive video archives from our programs and interviews here, and there's so much to draw from, to learn from, that it's such a fabulous stew to be in. And I am so thankful every day that I get to work here. And I'm so thankful for everybody who comes here and participates in what we do.
It was great. I think I just found my ending.
I'm always good for a soundbite.
Yeah, that was awesome. I think that was even better than the first time we went around. I think it was like I don't know, maybe ask some more productive questions. So.
Ooh, can I add one part about our board too?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah. And so in addition to all of the docents and other volunteers and the staff, we also have an incredibly committed board. We have a couple of members of Jackson's family who serve on our board, local lawyers, dignitaries, judges, and every single one of them is committed to the success of the center. Some have been involved since the center's inception. Others are newer to the board. They are not only local, but we are a national board. And at times in the past have also been an international board. So it's always heartening to see how much people care about the organizations to which they've chosen to dedicate their volunteer time. And so I couldn't thank our board enough for their commitment. Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think that's everything.
Sound good?
Yeah, I meant to mention them when I was going through the list of everybody, and I just realized I forgot. So.
That's fine. That's great.
Okay.
Are there any pictures of the board like completely together?
I think the wall outside is probably the best one.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh no, you know what? There is. Well, it's the majority of the board. So we took a board picture with Bob Woodward.
Okay.
So.
I'll ask Nicole for that.
Yeah, because I know at a minimum it's on Flickr, because I think that's where, I think that was Lori who photographed that one, so I know she put them up there. But yeah, yes, there's definitely a still picture of it somewhere.
And do you, well no, never mind, that'll be fine. I'll be able to grab that and find that.
Okay. No, what other questions?